What's up, everybody? It is Big L56 here, bringing you our Week 4 battle against Coach Mariobee and his Happy Valley Harayamas. Um, if you watched our team builder, you know what we're bringing and why we're bringing it. Let's run through our team real quick, though, just in case you missed it. I will put a link to the team builder up above in the eye, so make sure you check that out if you missed it. But our team is Megalopony, Heatran, Galvantula, Vaporeon, Tsareena, and Palisand. His team is the Mega Tyranitar, the Alolan Dugtrio, the Nidoqueen, the Escavalier, Dracovish, and the Rotom Mow. And the first thing I noticed when I looked at his team was no Tornadus Therian. I thought for sure, after seeing how I kind of struggled to play around the Pelipper last week, I thought that thing was a 100% bring for him this week. Whenever I was looking at it, that made Palisand a lot more expendable because Tornadus was the main reason I wanted rocks. And if you look at his team, nothing really gets affected by rocks that bad. I mean, I guess it could have been nice to have. Could be nice to have on Dracovish, maybe on Rotom. But even though there is no Tornadus, I still don't see any reason why we deviate from our plan, which was lead Galvantula, get those webs up, and if this Rotom doesn't have Defog, those webs are here to stay for the whole game. So let's get into the game, and you can see he leads off with the Escavalier, as I lead off with the Galvantula. I see no reason to do anything different. I just go for my sticky webs as he goes into Nidoqueen. This is exactly what I thought was going to be his switch into Galvantula. But I get free sticky webs up, and I still have my Sash intact. So I know that if I get this Bug Buzz damage off on Nidoqueen, I can more than likely OHKO this thing with anything that Heatran wants to go for, and I outspeed. So I decided to just go ahead and go for the Bug Buzz. That, if he had no bulk, was a minimum roll. He goes for Earth Power. It takes me down to Sash. I decided, you know what? I want a little bit more chip damage. I'm gonna go for the Bug Buzz again. And he reveals the Ice Beam. I wasn't sure he would bring Ice Beam this week, just because the main things he would want to hit it with. He also hits with his stab Sludge Waves or Sludge Bombs in Tsareena and Togekiss. But he did bring the Ice Beam. I was kind of hoping he didn't have Ice Beam. That way, Palisand could put in a little bit more work. But my switch here is easy. I go into Heatran every time, and here I make a nice little prediction. I go for the Flash Cannon, thinking he would probably bring this in on the Fire move, and we get a nice chunk of damage off. That roll was only possible if he was max HP, max Spadef. So we know what this thing is. We know it's not an offensive set. So we know we can take hits from this. So I decide, you know what? I can't stay in here. Another one doesn't kill. I'm going to go out into Tsareena. There's not really anything this thing can do to Tsareena. He goes in for the Earthquake. It does just nothing to me. I don't think there's any way he wants to leave this in and sack this. So I've been running this offensive bulky. But so I decided I'm going to go for the knockoff here, and I will take whatever item he wants to give me. And we get a nice little chunk of damage off on the Rotom. It loses its leftovers. And we know that this thing does have some bulk. I was kind of confused by this play because, honestly, Tsareena was my check to this. So I didn't know what exactly he wanted to do. I figured he probably wanted the defog, which kind of bummed me out because I didn't want to lose the webs, but I knew I could go for a U-turn. I knew he'd gotta be faster than me because I'm 0 speed. So I was like, I'm going to go for a U-turn here, as he does go for the defog, which is kind of a bummer. That means no webs for me. But Galvantula did its job. It weakened the Nidoqueen, and that Nidoqueen is now in range of any move that my Heatran wants to go for. And I go for the U-turn, and I just say, you know what? I look at his team, I look at it that it's kind of worn down, and I see that nothing really wants to take two close combats, and nothing can outspeed me. He's definitely not going to want to bring in his Dracovish on this. So I'm like, I'm going to go into my Lopunny. Nothing on his team can take two close combats. But I decide, you know what? I'm gonna see what he wants to do. I'm gonna see what his switch in is to this. I'm just gonna go for the U-turn as he goes into the Escavalier, and we Mega Evolve just to get that extra power boost. And U-turn does pitiful damage to this, and we can see that he has a lot of bulk invested, max HP, and probably a lot of defense. So this thing, there's odds are it's not the choice band set that we were kind of afraid of. Excuse me. So I just go out into Heatran because I don't think there's anything. There's no way he's gonna want to stay in on this. So I just go for the flamethrower here, I believe, in case he wants to leave it in, and we knock out the Rotom. That's KO number 1 for Heatran. And he goes right into the Tyranitar. He has to know that we're choice specs at this point. He has to know that at max SPDF, max HP, there's no way I could have done that much with Flash Cannon unless he was specs. So we resume. I switch out. I go out into Tsareena. I know there's nothing this thing can do to Tsareena, as he goes for a Toxic, which is kind of a bummer, but it's not the end of the world. Excuse me. He goes out into Nidoqueen, as I believe I went for the Trop Kick here. I kind of expected him to go out into a Escavalier here. But that's the main reason I went for the Trop Kick, to lower its attack. But he goes out into the Nidoqueen, which I will take damage on this thing all day. I know that there's nothing that I can live that he goes for. I know he probably has Sludge Wave. We know he has Ice Beam. I don't live one from a modest Life Orb, Sheer Force, Nidoqueen. So I decide, you know what? Palisand, what you're here for isn't here. I don't really need the rocks up, and I really want Tsareena because I don't want Vaporeon to have to switch into Tyranitar and take that damage. I want to save Vaporeon for Dracovish. So I decide Palisand is my most expendable member, sorry. And I go out into Palisand. As he goes for Ice Beam, that crit didn't matter. There's no way I live 2 Ice Beams. And it helps me stall out a turn. I click Earth Power here just because I was Sand Veil, so I did have a chance to dodge. But we didn't get the dodge. That's fine. Unfortunately, what I brought Palisand for didn't come. So Palisand, you got to make an appearance. Hopefully I can find a way to better use it later in the season, because I do like Palisand. I like things it can do, but it goes down to the Ice Beam. Excuse me, I'm going to grab a drink real quick. We go right out into the Lopunny. There's nothing he wants to switch into this. We go for close combat, and we knock out the Nidoqueen. I was really surprised he let it go down. I didn't switch into Nidoqueen well at all. He had to know that, but he will definitely take those, and Lopunny claims yet another kill on the season. Lopunny has just been putting in so much work for us. And here, he goes, the sand ends, which is good for us. He goes out into Escavalier. There's no way I want to stay in on this. I go for the U-turn. Right back out into Tsareena. As he goes for the close combat. We see it doesn't really do that much damage to us. I'm not ready. I do some calcs. And I see that close combat isn't really doing very much to Vaporeon. I don't want to let Elizabeth go down yet. I feel like it being able to switch in on Tyranitar is really, really useful. So I decide, you know what? I'm going to go for the U-turn here as he goes into a Lomondug Trio. I don't know why he went for that. I guess maybe he was expecting the Trop Kick. He probably thought he could live it. But I thought that was really confusing. But I go for the U-turn, get a nice little chunk of damage off on this, and I go out into Vaporeon. I'm right now, with no webs up, I'm wondering if this Doug Trio is Scarfed. So I wanted to see what he locked himself into, what he would potentially lock himself into. So he goes for the Earthquake. So that means I know that Heatran is a no-go. Here, I just get up a Wish because I know that even a crit can't KO me. And I wanted to see what it was. And also, it reveals these Life Orb. So I know that Mega Lopunny can come in on this because I outspeed it. And I decide I'm going to get my health back on Vaporeon. And I'm content to just stall this thing out if he's ready to let it go down to Life Orb or Recoil. So I'm just going to keep wishing and protecting. But here, I decide, you know what? I can eat I can eat an Earthquake or an Iron Head, flip turn out of here, and hopefully pass this wish to Tsareena and get its health back up. And that's exactly what we do. He makes the switch into Tyranitar, wanting to get his sand back up, and we go out into Tsareena, and that wish gets her right back up to feeling pretty healthy. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to go for the Trop Kick here. I have no reason to really go for anything else. And boom, we knock out that Alolan Doug trio. And Elizabeth getting worn down. He's going to go out into a Scavalier here. I'm thinking to myself here, I don't really have any reason to keep Tsareena around. Tsareena has done so much work for us this game. This walling hits, getting that wish really, really helped keep it around. And Elizabeth had a great battle this game. So I just go for the Trop Kick just to weaken this. That way I can really switch anything I want to switch in on it without having to worry about it doing too much damage to me. I had considered U-turning here and maybe seeing if I could get another wish to it. But unfortunately, between the sand and the toxic damage, it got worn down so bad that I just figured it was worth it just to let it go down. So I go for another Trop Kick just to get a little bit of chip damage and weaken it a little bit more. It goes for Iron Head and gets the KO. Tsareena did a great job. So I go out into Vaporeon. I'm thinking I can wish up. He goes into Dracovish, and this thing scares the crap out of me. I don't know what it wants to do. The two sets that I was afraid of was the Choice Band set, and I was really afraid of the subset because I don't really have any way to hit it through a sub. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to flip turn here. I can't really do anything to this. And he does reveal the substitute. And that scares the daylights out of me because I know flip turn can't break the sub. I know out of the sand, though, Mega Lopunny is faster than this. And I know that U-turn can break the sub. So I go ahead and just go for the U-turn. And I break the sub. And I believe I go right back. I go out into Heatran here, actually. I thought I went out into Vaporeon here. He went for the Super Fang. And right now, I'm thinking, I cannot let this Dracovish end up behind a sub. He went out into T-Tar to get the sand back up for the Dracovish, which made a lot of sense. We go for the Earth Power, and that was a low roll that actually really, really helped us. It helped us stall out this sand so that the Dracovish doesn't have that Sand Rush ability for very long. Because once this goes down, Sand Rush is done for him. So we wait the turn, we get the Earth Power off, and we get the KO on the Mega Tyranitar. And no surprise here, he goes out into the Dracovish, and I cannot let this thing stay behind a sub. So sacrificing Heatran to me is way more important than letting him end up behind a sub. I cannot let him end up behind the sub. If he ends up behind the sub, we lose. It's that simple. So fortunately, he does go for the sub. We were talking after the game. He could not believe I was willing to let my Heatran go down here. I go for the Earth Power. He loses the sub. And I'm like, no, there's no way I'm letting you stay behind the sub. He goes for the Fish's Friend. There's only one more turn of sand. I know that he can't OHKO my Vaporeon. I'm out of range of even a Choice Banded Outrage. And if he goes for a sub, I can just keep flip turning and U-turning, flip turning and U-turning back and forth until he doesn't have enough HP to make a sub. So I just go out into Vaporeon. I know he's faster than me. I can take that Super Fang, no problem. I get the flip turn off and go out into Mega Lopunny, and now the sand is gone. So I know I for sure outspeed. I go for the close combat, get the KO, and the Dracovish goes down. We played around that sub so well. If we didn't play around that properly, if I let that thing end up behind a sub, we lost. There's no other way to define it. We would have lost this game had we not played as well as we did around that sub. Mario's a great battler, and he played really well, and that was the set that I was most afraid of that Dracovish having, and we played around it so well. He goes out into a Cavalier. I'm -1 defense. I can't stay in. I just U-turn. A max roll with close combat could have knocked him out there, but I wasn't willing to take that risk, obviously. So I go out into Vaporeon. He goes for the close combat. Well, I went for Protect here just to see if maybe I can get a roll and maybe I can knock it out with a flip turn without having to risk my Lopunny. I believe this was maybe a roll based on the calcs I was doing. So I went for a Wish, and we don't live the close combat, but that's fine. He's down to -2 defense. Mega Lopunny can come in, claim its 3rd kill of the game, and that is GG to Mario. He played really well. I feel like we played excellent. Like I said, playing around that sub on Dracovish was really huge for us. If we don't play around that as well as we do, we lose this game. Mario's record does not show how scary this team is or how good of a battler he is. He's just kind of been counter-teamed really well. You know, he's had to play Tangela and Tangrowth in his own division, and like I have a Vaporeon. He's just had really rough matchups for that Dracovish to do a lot of work for him, and he's got a lot of bad luck. I talked about that in my team builder. I definitely can see a situation where Mario bounces back, ends up like 7-5, and makes the playoffs, because this team is really good, and he's a fantastic battler. But Mega Lopunny is slowly but surely climbing up that leaderboard for MVP. Mega Lopunny 3 kills again this week. I was really happy to see the Heatran put in work. I really thought Specs Heatran could be huge for us this week. And we go up to 3-1. We get that nice bounce back win that we needed. And I believe we're tied for first in the division again, because Be Real took a loss this week. And we are 3-1 with a +8 differential. And please, if you like the video, make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely go check out Mario's side of the battle. I will have a link to all of the Discord for the WPF and all the WPF creators who are making content down below. Please go make sure you check those guys out. And I will see you guys later. Have a good one.